All right, everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. We've got our background music back. Let me know if it's too loud, too low, or it's the right level. I want to make sure that it's at a good place for all of you guys. So with that said, we're going to talk today about some massive updates we got yesterday. We got some news last night. There's new Lightspeed bundles. The Pirate Era Battle is finally here. We've got a lot to talk about there. Some not so good news for the player base. We got Brutus in-game with his relic requirement for GL Hondo. And then we've got some bonus drops coming that are really going to impact, give us some good impact, give us some mediocre impact. So we're going to talk through all of those things, guys. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Let's give a huge shout out to our channel members, as always, for their continued support. If you guys are ever interested in joining the channel memberships, it's down below, along with a link to our Discord server. Go check it out. Really appreciate all you folks just keeping the faith, believing in me to bring you some good content. I really appreciate all of you guys. It's been so much fun to be able to create content for you, and I, hope to continue this channel for many, many years to come, or as long as Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is still active. So let's get in here and let's talk about some updates to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. All right, folks, so the first area that I wanted to cover here, we're going to kind of switch over to the screen capture and just go to the, where the developers actually talked about the update, just some brief things that I thought were worth mentioning. So let's pull this up here. All right, so we've got Brutus, the Pirate Era Battle. There's a secret. Temple Guard is now farmable on fleet battles, and Captain Enoch is accelerated. All of that is great stuff, right? All this is good things. There's a lot of different bugs and adjustments that they've made. I don't think any of it is, you can read through this at your own will. I don't need to go and, talk about all of this. But getting these things, that's a big deal, right? We've been waiting on that Pirate Era Battle for a while. So let's get in over here back to the game. Pirate Era Battle is active. Now, this was confirmed in the event server, so shout out to Barbarossa and his team. The thing with this Pirate Era Battle, while it's here, there are 4 characters available: Etano, Quiggled, Kix, and Brutus. Very similar to the Clone Trooper, right? One major difference. You are then going to add in Vane and Silvo into this Era Battle. So when they delayed these Era Battles, we were wondering if it was just because they were working on them. What they seem to have done is combined the Pirate Era Battles into one. If you remember in the original update that we got about Era Battles, and I'm going to pull that up on another screen here. There we go. Let's pull this up. So if you come back to this little graphic right here, you had 4 different Era Battles. 3 marquees, which was Etano, Quiggled, and Kix, and then Brutus, Vane, and Captain Silvo. There was supposed to be 4 different Era Battles. Now we're only getting 3. Obviously, that's not good for us as players because we've lost out on something. Now, to be clear, subject to change, doing some obvious heavy lifting, right? Subject to change, doing some big heavy lifting there. It does seem like we've lost Era Battles for the Pirates, and they've kind of combined them into one. Obviously, if you are someone who was really relying on these things, not a great thing for the player base to lose out on those. Now, to quote, I think it was Grandolo Kev who said this, so shout out Grandolo Kev from the event server if you're listening. He said, he's like, can't really lose something you never had. That is a very fair point. We never did have it. There was the subject to change, but again, it is another example of CG kind of backtracking on something that they said was going to happen. So, that's definitely something that I will say is going to impact the player base pretty negatively. The only way I would argue they could fix that is if they just made this happen twice as often, which I think would just be overkill. So, hey, it is what it is. But the Era Battle's definitely getting a little bit of a nerf, right? A little bit of a nerf there. The next place we need to go to in the screen capture is the Discord. Where's my Discord? Of course, Discord doesn't want to pop up. Why should Discord ever pop up? That's just ridiculous, right? Let's get back to the event server here. All right, I'm going to pull this up for everybody. So in terms of the new Lightspeed bundles that were released, we have 2 new bundles that are confirmed to be coming into the game. Here are the assets. Finally got them pulled up here. So we have a Ben Solo Lightspeed bundle and a Darth Malgus Lightspeed bundle. Those are both coming into the game there. Again, those are going to be great. If you scroll up into all of these things, there's a lot of stuff in these data mines. It is going to give you both characters 7-star, ability level 7, and relic 5. So pretty solid there. And the thing is with that ability level 7 is when we click on someone like Ben Solo, his Force Dyad, that will grant a Zeta. Ability level 7 for him, where he's got Zetas. If there is a, Omicron on that ability, he will get the Zeta for it. So there are some Zetas that will be included in that. I think with Darth Malgus, however, his Zetas and Omicrons are separate from each other, except maybe on the leadership. But I think those will include some Zetas if they're getting to level 7. I could be wrong, but, it just depends. Again, it just depends where those Zetas are or aren't. But potentially including some Zetas. I'd have to go look. Maybe I'll go look at swiggo.gg here for a sec. Let's pull up GG. Come on, get to GG. Let's go to units here. Ben Solo. All right, guys, let's pop over to the screen capture here. All right. There we go. So I'm on Ben Solo's page here. So yes, on redeemed, you're going to get the Zeta here. And on Force Dyad, you're going to get the Zeta there. So 2 Zetas inside of that Ben Solo bundle. That's a steal, right? That's a big deal to get 2 Zetas for Ben Solo there. And then for Darth Malgus, we will get no Zetas. Okay, so Malgus gets no Zetas. He's only got 2 of them, and they're on abilities separate from his Omicrons. But for Ben Solo, you will be getting 2 Zetas. So if you are interested in purchasing that bundle, you're like, oh, well, it's not going to come with the stuff I need. I mean, 2 Zetas for Ben Solo, that's kind of a friggin' big deal, right? That's a huge deal. So I think this is going to be a very, very good bundle to purchase if you are in need of Ben Solo. So I like that a lot. Shout out CG for giving us some, a pathway to some additional Zetas. Now, the other news that was kind of released with this update was Lightspeed tokens are in the game. As you guys can see here, we've got Lightspeed tokens. There was one given to all of us in the web store. So if you go to the web store, there is a free level 10 for Separatists, right? So I can take my stat from gear 9 to gear 10 here. And just to show you what that upgrade is before you go and do it, because you're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, Phil. But at that level, gear from gear, idiot, from gear 9 to gear 10, all right, this side of the board, nothing really crazy, nothing super valuable here. But over here, we've got Carbonis and stun cuffs, or stun guns, 2 stun guns there, and we do have a full Kyrotech piece, so you are getting a free 100 Kyrotech. We're going to go ahead and promote this guy with that Lightspeed token. There we go. So now I've got a, gear 10, stab. So there are available tokens that we can purchase now. There is a one for level 5. They're selling it for $15 in the web store for Separatists. There is another one to get to Relic 1 for Separatists, and there is a Bronzium 1 for Separatist as well. So again, all of those are available for purchase. $15 for one of these does seem pretty steep. I'm not going to pretend it isn't. That is a pretty steep purchase, particularly when we compare that to what Lightspeed bundles cost. But again, it is letting you pick your hero, so there is an aspect where a little bit more value depending on who you do and don't pick as a part of that, Lightspeed token. But they are now available to be wailed on if you are interested in purchasing those. Now, also in the data mine, we got some additional... If we go back to the game here, we did get some additional things data mined. Scroll down. We got all the different requirements for the, varying at era battle, which is all good. Lots of packs. But we did get some bonus drops confirmed, and we're going to end kind of talking about these bonus drops here. So if you are on the hard light side, you will get Padawan Sabine. or flawed signal data. Again, flawed signal data is the blue kind of signal data. So if you already have Padawan Sabine, you farm some hard nodes on the light side, you're going to be getting the blue signal data. Hard dark side is going to drop Oppo shards. If you've already got Oppo, it's going to drop Mark 7 Kairatech. In the Cantina, actually we're going to skip Cantina. In hard fleets, you're going to be earning Punishing 1 shards, and if you already have Punishing 1 at 7-star, Mark 9 Kairatech, I'm a big fan of throwing the Punishing 1 there. If you are a player who does not yet have that 7-star, I would be hammering your fleet nodes for those shards. And then in the Cantina, Captain Etano will be the bonus drop, and if you already have him 7-star, Zetas. So that's huge. That's some really, really good changes there. I'm very excited for that. Particularly the Etano shards. I know some people will say, oh, well, why couldn't they have done it for Brutus or Kix or Quiggold? Listen, the less time you have to spend farming a single character in this game, the better. These are bonus, drops. And I do want to say that it's very interesting, again, that the newest character is the one that's gated behind Zetas. So if you are someone who has been wailing on these new characters and you're shorter on Zetas, here's a great opportunity to earn them. And that's something that CG has kind of stuck to for a while. So guys, a lot of stuff kind of happening here, and just to kind of give you my final thoughts on some of these things. Bonus drops, again, going active tomorrow. That's great news. Love to see that. There's a lot of energy packs in the store currently. Again, the ones that kind of go like this, where it's a calendar, not as good, simply because the calendars aren't going to be around as much, but there is the Energy Ascension bundle, which will give you plenty of bonus drops for particularly, looking at some of those energy types that are going to be giving you bonus materials. There is the basic energy bundle as well for $5, which unlocks another tier. So there's going to be a lot of energy packs there that you will be able to purchase and potentially get some additional shards or, get those extra bonus drops that you would need. I do want to say, I'm going to kind of tease this a little bit, but this Pirate Era Battle is definitely something we're going to be talking more about later. I definitely think that it's not a good sign that we're losing an Era Battle, particularly looking at those players who were maybe free to play and relying on these to help get their characters faster. It does seem like the goalposts for Hondo have moved significantly, not just with the reduction of the Era Battles, kind of combining them, probably not changing the cadence, but also when you think about his requirements, which I've never really got to talk about his second batch, so that, we'll have to talk about that. But the third batch of requirements, I believe, is coming the middle of this month, so that will be a good indication of just how expensive this friggin' Pirate King will be, and I have a feeling that it's not going to be pretty the rest of the way moving forward, because in the Brutus kit announcement, they did say that he's required to be at Relic 7 for Galactic Legend Hondo. I actually don't hate that, because the way that we have been told, and I think this way the split is going to work with pirates, is that Maz Kanata is going to take the, Etano, Quiggold, Kix, the kind of Force Awakens type units. She's going to be the home for them, and Pirate King Hondo is going to be the home for Smee, Brutus, Vayne, and Captain Silvo. So then you've got OG Hondo, Sana, and Nest kind of filling in wherever else you feel necessary. So wanted to at least give you guys that shout, kind of, talk through that. Again, Pirate King Hondo closer and closer to coming into the game. A lot of stuff there. And I also got to say, I'm going to hide the fat face here for a second, just so you can kind of see this, because it's pretty cool. But it will tell your guild if you made an upgrade with a Lightspeed token. So it will tell you, hey, look, like, you used a Lightspeed token. So you'll no longer be able to, hide that, oh, you got all these characters to gear 13 or whatever. Like the Lightspeed bundles, now it's going to flat out tell you that you purchased a Lightspeed token to get those resources, which is kind of funny. But let me know your guys' thoughts down below. How do you guys feel about this stuff? What's your thoughts here? Again, I can't say I'm completely thrilled with the reduction to the Era Battles, but again, you can't lose something you never had. I am excited that we are getting some bonus drops for these characters again, especially looking at like Captain Atano for the raid. One of our big complaints is that we don't really have a full pirate team that we get to use. Giving us those bonus drops for him is a solid thumbs up from me. So we'll let you guys know how this continues to unfold. We will talk a lot more about GL Hondo here because I do have some thoughts and concerns around this character with that reduction to the air battles. So like, subscribe, comment. I love you all. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.